my name is David Schurger. I'm the music director and conductor for the IU School of Medicine Orchestra. I am also the orchestra director at Zionsville Community High School in Zionsville, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis. And I teach high school. I'm actually a percussionist. I do own a viola, and I've been told I've elevated myself to being a string guy. So that's certainly I feel very, very good about that.
I was going to ask you whether you've removed the viola from the case.
I did, and I actually just tuned it right before we got on today. So I need to go practice because that's what two-set says I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to go practice, maybe my 40 hours, see if I'll get them in today. So I used to do that. I still do that on the side, and so I just do a ton of different things. And music is just what I do, and I love orchestra. I love strings. I love teaching and conducting.
What was the composition of the orchestra when you started it? As far as who were the sorts of people who were in it, and how's that changed over time?
So it's the diversity of people hasn't really changed. It's quite a big mix. So it's housed under the med school orchestra, but one of our founder benefactors, who has since passed away, he goes, Dave, you do your thing. And so we have nurses, nursing students, dental students. It's more of a life sciences kind of orchestra, but it's sort of housed in the med school. I don't know if it's changed. We've always had a diverse amount of people in the program and in the orchestra. And so it's anyone that's kind of affiliated with one of those, life sciences schools or even the networks here in town. So it's just been a very diverse, kind of fun group overall. Mostly medical. And so we have doctors, and faculty that are in the orchestra that are also, they kind of help out, if a med student has some questions, if they have questions. And I've actually seen it where med students they'll start talking in sections, and then like a third year or fourth year will help out a first or second year with maybe notes from a course or something like that. So that part's super cool. So it's always been a diverse background, of students.
Yeah, I've always found it with our medical orchestra in Providence fun to see the some of the medical hierarchies get inverted, in the orchestra. That someone who's a leading researcher in a certain medical field might be the second clarinet, and one of the students from their lecture course might be the first clarinet.
Right.
Let's say if I were to ask you, what has been the single most memorable or rewarding moment of your career working with this orchestra, what would you say? Memorable
moment?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, with the Rona going on, I don't remember a lot because it all seems the same.
Yeah.
It's like a really bad Groundhog's Day. Just recently, like each year just kind of brings it something new and something, just different. But we were able to do Beethoven's Third this last fall, and doing that particular symphony was just absolutely fantastic. The orchestra loved it. They played it really, really well. It's on a YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
We had a great time, and anybody that knows that piece it's a beast. I don't think the strings stop once. Like, I don't think they have literally any rest anywhere. The first movement got done and the audience started clapping, and then everybody in the audience was like, oh my gosh, there's 3 more to go. So and it's, it's a longer symphony, and it felt like 10 minutes. It absolutely felt like 10 minutes. I think I was riding high for about 3 weeks. I was like, that was so much fun. Like, it was just really, really great. And, to share that with the musicians and the audience was for me, it was really a blast.
What do you think is distinctive to you about the the culture of medical orchestras and medical musicians versus orchestras in general?
I think for the most part, at least with this particular group, there's not, and like I said, I haven't had a chance to sort of even see or interact with other med school orchestras particularly, but the sort of hierarchy of orchestra that is so ingrained in the musicians, like, oh, I sit first stand and outside, inside, and first violin versus second, I don't read ledger lines, so I'm in second violin, and it's all, and then the cellos are like, well, I'm not going to read tenor clef, so I'm on the inside, those sorts of things. So there's kind of this, it's not really an ego issue. It's kind of like, put me where you need me and put me where I'm going to be best suited for the group. And hey, I've had some times where I needed seconds and I had some firsts. They're like, yeah, I'll just bump over to second, and so just sort of for lack of better terminology, I think just kind of a lack of ego, where it's like, hey, how can we make the best music, and it's about the experience, not necessarily the seating chart, you know what I mean? So it's how do we make the best music with where we need it to be and filling out the group. So I think there's kind of the service aspect that I think a lot of medical and the life sciences industry brings, just the service part of how do we get the job done the best that we can do it.
What your hope is for the orchestra for, say, the next decade, where are you hoping that it will get? Gosh,
I don't know. I think about every, I've got the 2-week plan and the 2-year plan and the 5, and so it's kind of just because we're such a fluid group, and because I think some of the other organizations around the country are a little bit more stable in the meaning that they have maybe more like 75%, say, local doctors or local medical professionals that sort of make it more of a community orchestra that has a little bit more continuity to where you can program, a little bit easier. So I just kind of have a running list of pieces that I know. I have small instrumentation, big instrumentation. It's kind of me sort of almost checking off pieces that I think are just really good works that we can do, or if we have to get really creative and like pull out some pieces, maybe like a silly Strauss march or something like that, some of those fun ones like the typewriter one or whatever. But just for maybe a filler if we have to. But as far as the plan, I mean, I really would love the group to continue going as best we can and fill it out. We feel pretty good, and seeing if we can, now that we have some traction, we have some of those community members that are sort of solid, then that core group makes it easier for me to start programming around them. And so that's helpful. So I don't know if I have a long-term goal, just keep the group going and just improve. I know that what I try to do is look at our older programs, and then I'll pull out a piece that we maybe did like 6 or 7 years ago, just to play it again, because now the group has gotten better. So now we're gonna play that piece again, just so we can hear it as a better performance.